And right now, 7:43, and we will go to the phone lines.
And we would like to welcome our guest, Annie Meehan. And, it's family gatherings. This holiday season will be plentiful, but will all these gatherings be accepted by all? And how do we deal with disruptive family members or guests during the holidays? And here to help us with all of that is Annie Meehan. She is a mental wellness expert, a motivational keynote speaker, and award-winning author of the all-new Choose to Soar book. And she also has several other books, including The Pineapple Principle. Good morning, Annie. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me on your show this morning on this very important topic.
Very much so, very much so. So, where do we start? I mean, we would love to think that everyone that comes to our family gatherings will all get along and all be on the same page, but that's not always the case.
That's right. Growing up the middle of 7 kids in a rather dysfunctional family full of anger and addiction, that was not always the case. So I had to learn some skills on how to help people. When you want to be connected, you want to celebrate the holidays, but it can be really challenging.
And so, how do we start? How do we organize our thoughts in how to deal with this?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the most important first things is to take care of yourself before you go into it. Make sure you're getting sleep, getting enough water, having some downtime, and having a plan kind of to how to stay happy and hopeful during the holidays when it can be very stressful.
And so, these can be filled with unbearable family moments, but we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So how do we go about that?
Here's a couple of the things that I do. I try to ask God to help me see them as He sees them, because sometimes I don't see that. I try to set healthy boundaries. So I decide how long I'm going to be there, how many people I want to be around, if I need shorter visits with less people. I kind of make a plan for an exit strategy. I'm married to a great guy, so we might have a keyword of like, hey, we're going to leave in 90 minutes, and when I say pineapple, we're out the door. Time to go. It's time to go to the next plan. I kind of put myself on a timeout. If I need a break, I'll say, you know what, I'm going to go for a quick walk, hide in the bathroom, do whatever you need to do. Some dysfunctional families can be so overwhelming that you need something to do. Prior to going, again, like during the holidays, it's easy to drink more alcohol and less water. I like to reverse that for people. Drink more water, less alcohol. Instead of getting less sleep, try to get a little more sleep, especially if you know you're going into a stressful environment. Working some breath work, calming down, doing some count of 4 breath in, hold it for 4, and then breathe out for 4. Meditation, just showing up with the gift of love and kindness, mentally and emotionally preparing for that. Like, I'm here to give a piece of love to these people that might not love themselves. That's one thing I know about stressed out people. They don't always like themselves. Trying to have lower expectations or no expectations. So have not put what I hope people are going to be like, but accept them for who they are and just be intentional rather than expectations that I'll share kindness. And also, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to visits that set me off or set you off or are an unhealthy environment. Maybe I'll make some cookies or a banana bread and bring that with and just offer a gift of love and say, I only have 5 minutes. I've got lots of errands to run today. So just setting those healthy boundaries about how you're going to show up and what your expectations are or not having any at all.
And Annie, it's funny that you should say, make a way to put yourself on a timeout. I actually had to do that recently, and it worked out well. And no, there were, but it was someone was saying something that was not that I thought was not okay, and I just graciously excused myself and went elsewhere in the house for a little bit, and that worked. But what happens if you are at the dinner table and there's some conversations being brought up and they become heated? And do you try to mediate, or do you try to, again, put yourself on a timeout and step away?
Yeah. Especially in the work that I do as a speaker and a coach, it's hard for my family to feel like you're the expert. The world might see you as an expert, but your family doesn't want to see you as an expert. Mm-hmm. And so I will, number one, absolutely put myself on a timeout. And I've been doing it for years. with my siblings, but also with my own kids, saying, I want to be in my head either saying or out loud, I want to be the person. To my kids, I'll say, I want to be the mom that you deserve to have, and I'm not going to be if I stay in this room. You guys are being mean, I'm taking a break. I'm not going to put you on timeout and put myself on timeout. With my siblings, it's more like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I go. And I really do. I'm very protective about what I watch and what I listen to, and they know that about me. And I'll just say, you know what, I need to take a break for myself. And then it diffuses it from people getting defensive rather than you did this, you're being negative, you guys are too angry, you guys are drinking too much, you guys are, whatever that story is. For people's scenario is don't put it on them. It's own it and take care of yourself. So I will definitely get up from the table. I will leave the room. I will leave. And if I had an incident with two siblings that got in a physical fight and the cops were called at a restaurant, and I just quietly snuck out. I could see it escalating and it never turned out well. So these were adults. I just left. And I think it's so much, you'll never regret not saying something negative or not getting involved in the chaos. You'll always be grateful you did. And so, because most people will say, well, I just got caught up in it. And I'm like, leave before you get caught up. Don't let your family bring you back to, especially for those of us that grew up in a dysfunctional family, protect yourself and leave.
And then I would suspect that the premise behind your latest book, Choose to Soar, is trying to help people with that and navigate.
Absolutely. It was inspired by surviving Hurricane Ian, where my husband and I spent 22 hours in our storeroom 11 months after we moved into my dream house of 30 years in Fort Myers Beach. But what it's really about is we all face disruptions, interruptions, storms, challenges in our lives, but they don't have to define us, whether it's getting laid off or filing bankruptcy or diagnosis or death. We can decide. And a lot of that book is really about, it begins with just being still and taking care of yourself so that we can be more prepared as we all face challenges in life. And self-care to me is the key to being your best, is the key to giving your best and being able to serve other people. So yeah, it's about facing storms on a moment basis or a big impact on your life.
And that includes storms, like actual storms like you endured, and other things like deaths of loved ones and relationship issues and that sort of thing.
Exactly. So it's about storms. So anything that disrupts your life. So when I always think when you feel like the rug's being pulled out from underneath you or the breath is being taken from your lungs, and you think, how am I going to breathe? How am I going to move forward? That's what Choose to Soar is about. It's emotional, it's challenging, but it's also inspirational that there is hope and that we can protect our mindset and that we can soar above the circumstances we face, no matter how challenging they are in our lives, because those challenges sometimes bring us closer and they allow us to be able to support other people in their own obstacles and challenges that they face. So, yes.
Well, we have been so happy and honored to have spoken to Annie Meehan this morning, and she is a mental wellness expert, motivational keynote speaker, and award-winning author of her latest book, Choose to Soar, creator of the Pineapple Principle, and she has been the author of 7 books, and she was the winner of the Ben Franklin Award from the Independent Book Publishing Association for her book, Be the Expectation. And Annie, we thank you so much for being with us. Where might our listeners find you?
Yeah, just AnnieMeehan.com. My website is a great place to find me and more about the work I do. I'm also active on YouTube and LinkedIn, but anything for Annie, where you look for Annie Meehan, you should be able to find me. So.
All right. Annie Meehan, thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you too. Thanks for having me.
You bet.